يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. أما بعد, the book we have been paying attention to for some weeks now is this book by Al-Hafiz ibn Rajab al-Hanbali that he has titled Al-Farq Bayna An-Naseehah wa Al-Farq Bayna An-Naseehah wa was written by Al-Hafiz ibn Rajab al-Hanbali, Abdur-Raūf. That sitting contradicts the sitting of the gathering of learning. When he commenced the book, rahimahullah, he said, "I'lam anna dhikra al-insani bima yakrahu muharram." That you should understand that dhikra al-insani bima yakrahu, mentioning something regarding a person that he hates, mentioning something someone hates about him, said it is what? Muharram. إذا كان المقصود منه مجرد الذم والعيب والنقص. If the intention of mentioning that fault, that mistake, that error is مجرد الذم, you just want to demean him, والعيب, you just want to point to his faults, والنقص, you just want to show his defect. It says ذكر الإنسان بما يكره محرم إذا كان المقصود منه مجرد الذم والعيب والنقص. So this, in this kind of a circumstance, will count as what? Nasiha or Ta'ib. Ta'ib. You are just insulting him. Why? No idea. Let me just disgrace him. This is what is common in our community in the name of Nasiha. You just, I will show you that you don't know anything. I know two incidences. One incident, a brother was correcting another brother regarding a sin. The friends of that brother say, why are you correcting? Fine. We will do rod to you. You want to do rod to us because we said this brother committed a sin. I was not involved, but I know the case. Someone committed a sin, major sin, kabira. Some brothers came together to do Naseehah. His friends started saying, you are doing Naseehah to him, fine, we will do rod to you. Fine. This rod, ikhwan, is it Naseehah or ta'ir we want? It is ta'ir. Why? The intention itself is mujarrad an-naqs wal-aib wa madha wa-dhamb. All they want from it is just to insult the other persons, abuse them too, as if to say what the brother said to the other brother was an insult. So they want to insult him back. So the way to do that is to find a means to do it. Likewise, when you find two brothers discussing a matter, you start hearing, I will give you rod, I will give you rod. Ibn Rajab said, rahimahullah, "I'lam anna dhikra al-insani bima yakrahu." Go and understand this point very well. Mentioning something that someone hates about himself. إذا كان المقصود منه مجرد الذم والعيب والنقص. If the intention is just to show them aib and nafs and things like that, it is what muharram. ذكره بما يكره ذكره محرم. Mentioning those things about him is haram. It is prohibited. فأما إن كان فيه مصلحة لعامة المسلمين. But if mentioning that fault about that brother has what maslahatun li'amatil muslimin, it has benefits, it has advantage. For example, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Abu Jahl and Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, each of them went to Fatima to bid to Qais. They wanted to marry her. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wassalam, wa amma Abu Jahl, fala yarfa'u asahu an atiqihi. As for Abu Jahl, he will not remove his cane, his dog, from his shoulders. This statement means two things, and the scholars have said the two, and the two of them are bad. La yarfa'u sawtahu an atiqihi. He will not remove his cane from his shoulders, meaning that always he's beating you. Always he has a cane to the shoulder to beat you. The opposite of it, it can also mean it. La yarfa'u asahu aw sawtahu. He will not remove his cane from his shoulder, meaning that he will always keep the cane there. He will leave you without discipline. He will not remove his cane. He will keep it there, so you will be undisciplined. He will not remove it, meaning it's always there. He can always discipline you. The scholars have explained this statement to mean either of the two. This is Zikru Abi Jahlin bima yakrahu dhikra. Abu Jahl will not like that. If any one of us wants to marry a sister now, and the sister comes to me or goes to Mufti, Mufti is the one you always go to. What can you say about that brother? He's very stingy, he doesn't spend money to his wives. What do you think he'll say? What will you feel that Mufti has done to you? Say, Wallahi, Mufti, your sister in fact, go. Zakaraka bima takrahu dhikrahu. He has mentioned you with something that you will not like it. As for Abu Jahl, he will not remove his cane from his shoulders. Wa amma Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan fasuluk. The Prophet said Muawiyah was suluk, la mala lahu. He is a poor person, he does not have money to take care of you. So this Ibn Rajab said rahimahullah, in kana fihi maslahatun li'amatin muslim. If mentioning the faults of a Muslim has maslaha for the generality of the Muslims, khasatan li or specifically to some Muslims, as it will be to a woman who wants to marry a man, or to a man who wants to marry a woman, as it was to Fatima to bint Qais in the case that we just cited in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَكَانَ الْمَقْصُودُ مِنْهُ تَفْصِيلَ تِلْكَ الْمَصْلَحَةِ. And the reason why he was saying those faults is to gain those benefits. In the case of Fatima, what benefit will she gain from that statement from the Prophet Muhammad alayhi sallam? It will enable her to be able to take a decision about marriage. فَلَيْسَ بِمُحَرَّمٍ. If it is like that, لَيْسَ بِمُحَرَّمٍ. It is not at all in any way haram. بَلْ مَنْدُوبٌ إِلَيْهِ. In fact, it is something that we are all encouraged to do. So this is a basic rule. It means that one of the things that differentiates between Naseehah and Ta'yib is what? The intention of the person. If your intention is mujarrad al-dhanb wal-naqs wal-'ayb, Ta'yib, ayyarta. But if your intention is Naseehah, maslaha, you want to gain a particular benefit, then nasahtahu. You have brought Naseehah, you were sincere to him. This is the way the scholars have seen when someone mentions a verse of the Quran and makes a mistake, or a hadith and makes a mistake, and so on. We've given a lot of examples as we read. Because they believed, as we have been repeatedly saying, all the ulama, they believe, rahimahullah, بأن الإحاطة بالعلم, they believe that knowing everything, ليس مرتبة أحد منهم, no one of them has knowledge of everything. All of them agree on that. So it means when you err in a matter, evidences show that you have erred. Then those who see the error should mention it. Nasihatan lil ummah. They don't intend them. They don't intend naqs. They don't intend aib. All they intend is what? Nasiha lil Muslim. They want the rest of the Muslims to get good advice about what you have said. Oh, this statement is wrong. Oh, this statement is not correct. And we have gone all along. The last portion we read in the last class was around page 12, when he said, Rahimahullah. But before that, come to page 11. Ibn Rajab said, Rahimahullah, وَقَدْ بَالَغَ الْأَئِمَّةُ الْوَرِعُونَ في إنكار مقالات ضعيفة لبعض العلماء وردها أبلغ الرد. بالغ الأئمة الورع في إنكار مقالات ضعيفة لبعض العلماء. Many of the scholars al-wari'u, people of serious righteousness, بالغوا في إنكار مقالات, they went to great extent في إنكار مقالات, to reject and reproach مقالات, views ضعيفة, that were weak, لبعض العلماء, that were held by some scholars. Some scholars held weak views, and those other scholars went on to start criticizing those opinions, that those opinions were wrong. وَرَدِّهَا أَبْلَغَ الرَّدِّ. They made serious, they went to large extents to explain the errors in those weak opinions. كما كان الإمام أحمد ينكر على أبي ثور. Like Al-Imam Ahmad used to refute Al-Imam Abu Thawr Al-Kalbi, Ibrāhīm ibn Khalid Al-Kalbi, rahimahullah, وغيره. They refuted all of this because they had issues, they had masail, تفردوا بها. They were alone in those views. ويبالغ في ردها عليهم. And Imam Ahmad went into large extents to refute those statements. هذا كله في حكم الظاهر. Those refutations by Al-Imam Ahmad and all other scholars, one scholar correcting another scholar, they say it is fi hukm al-zahir, in the matters that we can see, what we see, what we hear. He said, rahimahullah, wa amma fi batin al-amr. But regarding issues that we don't see, such as niyat, we don't see that one. What we saw is rad. We don't know the mind of the person making rad. فَإِنْ كَانَ مَقْصُودُهُ فِي ذَلِكَ مُجَرَّدَ تَبْيِينِ الْحَقِّ. If the intention is just to explain the truth, he just wants to make the people, to get the people to know the haqq, to be spread. وَإِلَّا يَغْتَرَّ النَّاسِ بِمَقَالَاتِ مَنْ أَخْطَأَ فِي مَقَالَاتِهِ. He does not want the people to become deceived, to become carried away. بِمَقَالَاتِ مَنْ أَخْطَأَ فِي مَقَالَاتِهِ. With the view of the one who has erred in his view. His intention, he does not want the people to be carried away. His intention is clear. تَبْيِينُ الْحَقِّ. That's all. فَلَا رَيْبَ أَنَّهُ مُصَابٌ عَلَىٰ قَصْدِهِ. There is no doubt that this kind of a person, مُصَابٌ عَلَىٰ قَصْدِهِ, this his good intention, he will be rewarded for it. وَدَخَلَ بِفِعْلِهِ هَذَا بِهَذِهِ النِّيَّةِ فِي النُّصْحِ لِلَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَأَئِمَّةِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ وَعَامَّتِهِ. دخل بفعله هذا. This action of his, with this his intention, he comes into an-nushu lillah, being sincere with the religion of Allah, wa rasulihi, being sincere with the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, wa a'immatil muslimin. Those people that he was telling that this position is wrong, this position is wrong, amongst the A'imah, he was sincere with them. Imam Ahmad was sincere with all others. Likewise, when he was giving rududat too, they were sincere with him, because there is no one amongst the ulama illa radda wa yuraddu alayh, except that he was refuting and they refuted him too, like Malik said rahimahullah. So this is Nasiha. The Imam continued and said, وَسَوَاءٌ كَانَ الَّذِي بَيَّنَ الْخَطَأَ صَغِيرًا أَوْ كَبِيرًا, whether the one who was explaining the truth was a young person or an elder person. فَلَهُ أُسْوَةٌ بِمَنْ أَرَدَّ مِنَ الْعُلَمَاءِ مَقَالَاتِ بْنِ عَبَّاسِ الَّتِي يَشُذُّ بِهَا. That kind of a person, whether small or big, he has a model, he has qudwa, he has an example. In who? In the rest of the scholars who were making refutation to Ibn Abbas. Ibn Abbas is big, radiyallahu anhu, Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abul Abbas. Yet, he had views. The scholars made refutations to him regarding them. Rahimahumullah. Those views, yashudhu biha. He was strange in them. He was alone in those views. وَأُنْكِرَتْ عَلَيْهِ مِنَ الْعُلَمَاءِ. Those scholars rejected those views from Abdullah ibn Abbas, radiyallahu anhu. مثل المتعة, like his view on mut'ah. They refuted the views. Ali ibn Abi Talib, he refuted the views. Abdullah ibn Umar, he refuted the views. Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, all these people were refuting Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma regarding the mas'ala. We had explained this in the last class. Cool? Was saf. Likewise, the mas'ala of saf, exchange, riba al-fadl. Ibn Abbas has a view on it, and it was wrong. Gold for gold. Go. Ad-dinaru bid-dinar. That was what the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam. وَمَنْ زَادَ أَوْ ازْدَادَ فَقَدْ أَرْبَى. The one who gives excess or asks for excess, he has asked for riba. You have 10 naira. You can exchange 1,000 naira, for example, with 1,000 naira. You see people having 1,000 naira single notes. They exchange it for 900 naira, 100 naira units. Riba. It is called what? Riba al-fadl. Because Abdullah ibn Abbas, radiyallahu anhu, he used to quote a hadith that the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, إِنَّمَا الرِّبَا فِي النَّسِيئَةِ. Riba is only regarding money you collect over time, or a product you buy over time. You bought the product today for 100 naira. You want to pay in 6 months' time. Your money is 100. You come in 6 months' time, you come pay. They say, okay, if you want us to extend the time, then you increase the money you will pay to what? 110 naira. This is called what? Riba al-Naseehah. He used to think that that is the only form of riba. He did not know that in as-sarf, in exchange of money and other things, that the Prophet mentioned, alayhi salatu wasalam, in those ahadith, that there could be riba. So he has that view, in farada biha, yashuzzu biha. He was alone. He was strangely having those opinions. And they refuted him, radiyallahu anhuma. Likewise, while Umariyatayn, this was not properly, the dhabt of this kalima was not properly done. He says, Umratayn. Umratayn. It is Umariyatayn. There is Mas'ala Umariyah. And there are two of them in Ilmul Mawaris. In Ilmul Mawaris, there is Mas'alatul Al-Mas'alatul Umariyah. The two issues are from the issues of Ilmul Mawaris. And the judgment in them was given by who? Umar ibn Khattab, radiyallahu anhu. And that was why those two issues are called what? Al-Umariyatayn. The two Mas'ala of Umar, radiyallahu radiyallahu anhu wa ghayri dhalik, and other masail. It says, وَمَا رَدَّ عَلَى سَعِيدِ ibn al-Musayyib. The same thing. It was not only Ibn Abbas that had people who are perhaps lower than him in knowledge refuting him. Radiyallahu anhu. The same thing happened to Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib. قوله في إباحته المطلقة ثلاثة بمجرد العقد. He has a view. Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib had a view. If a woman becomes divorced the third time, what did the Quran say? Naam فلا تحل له حتى تنكح زوجا غيره. The wife that was divorced 3 times by her husband, she cannot go back to him until تنكح زوجا غيره, until the woman has married another man apart from him. So if he marries another man apart from him, she marries another man apart from him, that man now divorces her. Then she can go back to her first husband. Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib said, Tankiha is what Allah said. Marriage. So he used to say that, Yakfil act. Once that marriage is act, even if the second man has not had conjugal relations with her, he can divorce her and then she will go back to the first husband. The ulama say, La, this position is wrong. Because the hadith of Imrā'atu recited that hadith go. The scholars sometimes refer to that hadith as Hadithul Usayla. Hadithul Usayla. Why? The woman came to the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu salam. She didn't say anything, she just sat down. The Prophet said, perhaps you want to return to your husband. Rifa. She said, yes, Ya Rasulullah. Bala, I want to return to my husband. He said, alayhi salatu salam, La, hatta yazuqa usaylatayk, hatta tazuki usaylatahu wa yazuqa usaylataki. You can't return to the husband. Hatta tazuki, you, the woman, you will taste his sweetness, and he will taste your sweetness. Meaning that the woman cannot return to the first husband until the second husband had had intercourse with her. That is the meaning of tanki hahuna, zawjan ghayrahu. It is not mujarradu nikah. This is from the aspects of what we understand that as-sunnah tufassiru al-Quran. فَحَتَّى تَنْكِحَ زَوْجًا غَيْرَهُ huna is not just act. It is act and what? Ad-duhul or al-jima. Before she can now return to her first husband. And in all of this, it must not be in an arrangement. Because the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لَعْنَ اللَّهُ الْمُحَلِّلَ وَالْمُحَلِّلَ لَهُ. The curse of Allah be upon a friend who marries a woman in this condition so that he can divorce her by an arrangement. She can return to his own friend. He is called Muhallil. That's his friend is what? Muhallila lahu. The two of them, Allah's curse be upon them. And that's why the man who marries that woman to make her lawful for her first husband, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam called him At-Taysul Musta'ar, the borrowed he-goat. Because he was borrowed for an assignment. So he will marry the woman, have intercourse with her. Your friend's wife that he divorced, you will agree with him. He will marry the wife, have intercourse, divorce her. Then you go. Were you not borrowed? May Allah protect us. As for Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, he said, Aqdu nikah is enough. That statement that Aqdu nikah is enough is wrong. Farud Dali. The scholars were refuting him. Rahimahullah. وغير ذلك مما يخالف السنة الصريحة. And likewise other issues like that contradicts clear-cut ahadith from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وعلى الحسن, likewise they refuted Al-Hasan al-Basri في قوله في ترك الإحداد على المتوفى عنها زوجها. Likewise, they refuted Al-Imam Al-Hasan Al-Basri. Why? في ترك الإحداث. He had a view that if a woman has a husband who dies, she does not have to make iddah. But the Quran told us about arba'atu ashhurin wa ashra, 4 months and 10 days. He is contradicting a clear-cut verse of the Quran. So that his statement was rejected. Rahimahullah. وَعَلَىٰ عَطَاءِ فِي إِبَاحَتِهِ إِعَارَةَ الْفُرُوجِ. They also made refutation to Al-Imam Abdur-Raūf regarding what? Is permitting إِعَارَةَ الْفُرُوجِ, loaning out the private area. What does that mean? The ulama explain. A man has a slave woman. Can he have intercourse with her or not? He can have intercourse with her. Because he said, Subhanahu wa ta'ala, إِلَّا عَلَىٰ أَزْوَاجِهِمْ أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُهُمْ. So these are the people you can have intercourse with, either your wife or your slave. Your slave is ma malakat yaminu. Allah mentioned it like that in the Quran. وَمَا مَلَكَتْ يَمِينُكَ مِمَّا أَفَاءَ اللَّهُ. So ma malakat yaminu, your slave. Why are they called like that? Why are they called that those that your right hand possess? Ma malakat yaminu. The ulama say because when you go to buy a slave, at the time when slaves were bought and sold, you are going to take over the slave with your right hand. You are also going to give the money for the purchase with what? Your right hand. So it is as if your right hand got that slave for you. So these are the people you can have intercourse with. So mas'alatu i'aratil furuj, that Atā ibn Abi Rabah said. He has a view that if you have a slave who is a woman, you have access to her. The Quran leaves you to have access to her, intercourse with her. A man can now say to his friend or his brother, after all, she is his slave. He owns the slave. So you, my friend, you to take this slave and see, enjoy her and see. يُعِيرُهُ إِيَّاهَا. He will borrow him the slave. This mas'ala is called what? I'aratul furuj. As if they borrowed out the private area of the woman. The scholars refuted Al-Imam Abdur-Raūf ibn Abi Rabah. They say this is a mistake. Who can tell me why it's a mistake? Who can tell me why it's an error? Why is it an error? Because what the Quran allows it, ma malakat yaminu. That woman is not from wealth the other person owns. The man that they gave, they borrowed, does not own her. فَلَا يَحِلُّ لَهُ. So that's not lawful for him. Why? It is not from ma malakat yaminuhu huwa. That second person who was borrowed that part. May Allah protect us. وَعَلَى طَاوُوسٍ. Al-Imam Tawus ibn Kaysan, Abu Abdur-Rahman. He was from amongst the Tabi'un, from the students of Abdullah ibn Abbas, radiyallahu anhuma. Al-Imam al-Zahabi said, لازم ابن عباس مدة. Tawus ibn Kaysan, لازم ابن Abbas. He was always ever in the company of Ibn Abbas. Mulazamatan. A learned person remaining, having a student with him. Everywhere he goes, the student goes with him. It's called mulazama. Because the ulama, wherever they are, they mention points of benefit. Tawus ibn Kaysan was always in the company of Abdullah ibn Abbas. He also learned a lot from our mother Aisha, radiyallahu anha. Those were his teachers. Likewise, Abu Hurairah, radiyallahu anhu. Likewise, Tawus, Abdullah ibn Umar, radiyallahu anhu, and others amongst the companions. Tawus was very learned. Al-Imam al-Zahabi in Siyar Alam al-Nubala, where he wanted to speak about Tawus ibn Kaysan, the first thing he said about him, he said, rahimahullah, Al-Faqihul Qudwatu, Alimul Yaman. Al-Faqih, that well-known scholar of fiqh, Al-Qudwa, the one who is our model. When he does something, we do it, we follow him. Alimul Yaman, the scholar of the people of Yemen. He was talking about who? Tawus ibn Kaysan. Tawus ibn Kaysan was so honorable that Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, his teacher said, Inni la'adhunnu Tawusan min ahli al-Jannah. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu, he said, Inni la'adhunnu Tawus min ahli al-Jannah. I'm thinking that this Tawus is from the people of Al-Jannah. The kathrati ibadati. Tawus was full of ibadah, and he was very knowledgeable from the student. You know what it means? Your Shaykh is saying, this boy is from the people of Al-Jannah. Ibn Abbas said that regarding who? Tawus ibn Kaysan. Yet, rahimahullah, he had aqwal. He says, Wala Tawus qawlahu fi masaili muta'addidatin. Tawus was also given rudud. Despite that, he earned muta'addida in a number of masail. He had radiyallahu anhu wa rahimahullah shadda biha anil ulama. He was alone in his those opinions, away from the rest of the scholars. They still gave rudud to those ibn Kaysan. Nasihatan lil ummah. Wa ala ghayri haula. They also gave refutations to other scholars and corrections. Wa ala ghayri haula mimman ajma al-muslimuna ala hidayati. Apart from Ibn Abbas, Sa'id ibn Musayyib, Hassan, Ata'u, Tawus, there were others amongst the scholars from the people that ajma al-muslimuna ala hidayati. The entirety of the Muslims are agreed ala hidayati, that they are well guided. Wa dirayatihim, they have a deep understanding of the religion. Wa mahabbatihim, we all love them radiyallahu anhum. Wa thanai alayhim, we all praise them. We all don't love Ibn Abbas. Do we have anyone who doesn't love Ibn Abbas? Do we have anyone who doesn't love Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, Al-Hasan al-Basri, Tawus ibn Kaysan, Ata'u ibn Abi Rabah? Ata'u ibn Abi Rabah was alive, radiyallahu rahimahullah, from the students of Ibn Abbas. They would ask Abdullah ibn Abbas some questions. He says, Sal Ata, go and ask Ata. All these people, we love them. Ajma al-Muslimun ala hidayati. The whole of the Muslims are agreed that they are upon guidance. Wa dirayati, their knowledge is deep and their understanding. Wa mahabbati, we are agreed upon loving them. Wa thana'i alayhi, and we praise these people. Yet, lam ya'udda ahadun minhum mukhalifihi fi hadhihi al-masail wa nahwiha طعنا في هؤلاء الأئمة ولا عيبا لهم. Those who they did not count all these people we have mentioned, Ibn Abbas, Tawus, Sa'id, Hassan al-Basri. They did not count those who refuted them. في هذه المسائل, in these masail, ونحوها, and others like it. Because those people were saying, no, Ibn Abbas, you are wrong. In fact, when Abdullah ibn Umar was criticizing the view of Abdullah ibn Abbas regarding Mut'ah, what did he say? He said, Subhanallah, ma azunnu anna ibn Abbas yaf'alu hadha. Hey, praise be to Allah. I wouldn't think that Abdullah ibn Abbas would be giving this kind of an opinion. وَهَلْ كَانَ ابْنُ عَبَّاسِ إِلَّا غُلَامًا صَغِيرًا إِذْ كَانَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ. Was Ibn Abbas not bigger than being a small young boy? Gulaman Saghiran in Kana Rasulullah. When the Prophet was alive, Ibn Abbas was a small boy now. Ibn Umar was saying that to Ibn Abbas. Ibn Rajab said, Rahimahullah, Lam ya'udda ahadun minhum mukhalifihi fi hadhihi al-masail wa nahwiha طعنا في هؤلاء الأئمة ولا عيب لهم. Those who were refuting them, those who were refuted, they did not count that refutation like, hey, I am Ibn Abbas. Why are you refuting me? I am Taus. You don't know me. Did you not hear what Ibn Abbas said to me that أظن أن طاووسا من أهل الجنة? You don't know that I'm Faqih, Alim Ahli Yaman? You don't know me? No, they were not. They did not see it like a disgrace. They did not see it like insult. They did not see it as what? Abuse. They did not see it as ta'ir. Because it is from the aspects of what? An-Naseehah. وَكُلُّهُمْ مُعْتَرِفُونَ أَنَّ الْإِحَاطَةَ بِالْعِلْمِ لَيْسَ مَرْتَبَةَ أَحَدٍ مِنْهُمْ. All of them also agree, including everybody. Abu Bakr al-Siddiq down. Everybody. Nobody thinks that I know everything. So when someone brings something, Shaykh, this hadith, and it is sahih, you accept it. The scholars are like that. You give a big. Abu Sanabil, when he went to Subay'ah and gave her the fatwa, we know the story go. When Subay'ah returned to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what did Abu Sanabil say? He kept quiet and accepted the statement of the Prophet alayhi wasallam. He had heard. He was waiting for, he was using a verse of the Quran, thinking that Subay'ah should wait for 4 months and 10 days. Subay'ah was using another verse of the Quran, thinking that the day she delivers her baby, she's free. Abu Sanabi said, no, you are not free. The woman took her jilbab, went to the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam, and it was confirmed that she was correct, and Abu Sanabil was wrong. Did Abu Sanabil consider that as an insult? He did not consider it as insult. So the scholars did not used to consider it as insult. When they make a statement, and others amongst the statement, the scholars correct that statement. Bring a proof. Bring a proof. Say, no, Shaykh, what you have said, it is wrong. Why? These are the evidences. Ibn Rajab went on and said, Rahimahullah, وَقَدْ امْتَلَأَتْ كُتُبُ أَئِمَّةِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ مِنَ السَّلَفِ وَالْخَلَفِ بِتَبْيِينِ هَذِهِ الْمَقَالَاتِ وَمَا أَشْبَهَهَا. He said, Rahimahullah, قَدْ امْتَلَأَتْ كُتُبُ أَئِمَّةِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. The books of the leading scholars of the people of Islam, مِنَ السَّلَفِ وَالْخَلَفِ, amongst those who had gone far, wal-khalaf, and those who came later, their books are filled with what? بِتَبْيِينِ هَذِهِ الْمَقَالَاتِ. They are explaining all these weak views. وَمَا أَشْبَعَهَا, and others like it. مِثْلُ كُتُبِ الشَّافِعِ, like the books of Al-Imam al-Shafi. I know 2 of his books is filled with explaining the mistakes like this. Like اختلاف الحديث. اختلاف الحديث is a book he wrote on علم مختلف الحديث. There is a hadith you saw. You thought that that hadith is contradicting another hadith. Hadithun sahih is contradicting another hadithun sahih. You think so? Al-Imam al-Shafi'i would explain it in ikhtilaf al-hadith. So while doing that, he will be correcting errors about understanding of those ahadith. It's a very important book by Al-Imam al-Shafi'i. He also has his book Al-Umm. Al-Umm is a very important book of fiqh in 10 volumes. If you go back to it, you'll be explaining this one said this, it is a mistake. This is the correct thing. This is the reason why this is a mistake. And this is the reason why this is the correct thing. They'll be explaining these things. So Al-Imam al-Shafi'i has books like that. Wa Ishaq, that is Al-Imam Ishaq ibn Ibrāhīm ibn Rahwayh, Rahimahullah al-Hanbali. We've spoken about him earlier. He also has a Musnad. Musnad Ishaq ibn Rahwayh. He has a Musnad like the Musnad of Al-Imam Ahmad, even though his own Musnad is in one single volume. He has other books on Masail. Questions he was being asked, he was answering, and they were documenting it. They say, ah, but so person said it. Say, ah, that statement of the other person is a mistake. Why? He will explain the mistake. Al-Imam Ishaq ibn Ibrāhīm had books like this. Wa Abu Ubaid. Likewise, Al-Imam Abu Ubaid Al-Qasim ibn Salam, the Shaykh of Ahmad. Qasim ibn Salam, Shaykh Ahmad. Does it not suffice to describe the knowledge of the person that we say it's from the shuyukh of Al-Imam Ahmad? It suffices. So Imam Abu Ubaid Al-Qasim ibn Salam wa Abu Thawr Al-Kalbi, Ibrāhīm ibn Khalil Al-Kalbi, rahimahullah. We mentioned to us in the last class a view that he had regarding marriage to the Majus, Abu Thawr. And Imam Ahmad, he said, Abu Thawr fi hadhihi al-mas'alati kasmihi. Abu Thawr is like his name in this mas'ala. You know what is Thawr? Bull. Something looking like a cow. Bull, Abu Thawr. Thawr is a bull, like a cow. Imam Ahmad said, this mas'ala, Abu Thawr kasmihi. Abu Thawr was like a bull in this mas'ala. Why? He was wrong in it. Rahimahumullah. So all these people had books they compiled about. If you come in the lower generations, you see there are more books compiled. Like Al-Imam Al-Bayhaqi has Al-Khilafiyat. Al-Imam Ibn Al-Munzir, he had Al-Awsat in the lower generation, where they gathered the views of the scholars and they are saying, this one said this but it is wrong. This one said this but it is right. This is the reason why it is right. Rahimahumullah. وَمَنْ بَعْدَهُمْ مِنْ أَئِمَّةِ الْفِقْهِ وَالْحَدِيثِ. Likewise, others amongst the scholars, from the scholars of fiqh and hadith, وَغَيْرِهِمَا, and others apart from them, others, that is, other scholars of other disciplines apart from fiqh and hadith, مِمَّنِ ادَّعُوا هَذِهِ الْمَقَالَاتِ, from those who claimed those views, مَا كَانَ بِمَثَابَتِهَا شَيْءٌ كَثِيرٌ. And other views like that. There are a lot of views like that. There are a lot of books gathering opinions, explaining them, saying this one is right, this one is wrong. Ibn Rajab said, rahimahullah, وَلَوْ ذَكَرْنَا ذَلِكَ بِحُرُوفِهِ لَطَالَ الْأَمْرُ جِدًّا. If we want to be explaining one by one, in this mas'ala, so person said so thing, he was wrong. This is the correct thing. لَطَالَ بِينَ الْأَمْرُ جِدًّا. The matter will be extensive, widely extensive. Rahimahullah. Then he said, Rahimahullah, وَأَمَّا إِذَا كَانَ مُرَادُ الرَّادِّ بِذَلِكَ إِظْهَارَ عَيْبِ مَنْ رَدَّ عَلَيْهِ. But if the intention of the person, مُرَادُ الرَّادِّ, if the intention of the person making the rad, بِذَلِكَ يعني بِرَدِّهِ, his intention is what? إِظْهَارُ عَيْبِ مَنْ رَدَّ عَلَيْهِ. He only wants to show the fault of the person that he is refuting. He only wants to show he didn't know Arab. He didn't know Lugha. He didn't know. That's just all what he's interested in. وَتَنَقُّصَهُ. He just wants to bring him down. Ikhwa, this is the rudud in our times. Most of our brothers, when we see them discussing matters, you see, it's as if all this brother wants is mujarradu tanaqqusi min akhi. He just wants to bring his brother down. وَتَبْيِينَ جَهْلِهِ or وَتَبْيِينَ جَهْلِهِ. All that he wants to do is to bring him down. وَقُصُورِهِ فِي الْعِلْمِ. He wants to say that this brother, he wants to show his qusur, his defects in a particular aspect of knowledge. That's all he wants to show. فِي الْعِلْمِ وَنَحْوِ ذَلِكَ, and things like that. كَانَ مُحَرَّمًا. All those rods are haram. Why? The intention behind it is haram. So two things must be right if you want to do a good deed. The deed must be right. The intention too must be what? Must be right. If the deed is right, and the intention is not right, the whole thing is wrong. If the intention is the deed is wrong and the intention is right, the whole thing is wrong. The only time you get it right is when the deed is right and the intention is what? Right. So if it is rad bil ahsan wal hikmah wal dalil wal burhan, you make a rad, you give a correction with evidence, clear-cut evidence and proof. And when you were doing it, your intention is clear. It is not to show that this person is ignorant of so thing. Because everybody is ignorant of something in knowledge. There is not any part of knowledge that everybody knows it all. Wallahi, if you are muhaddith, there are many things in ilmul hadith that you don't know. Not to say in other ulum. If you are a faqih, you have PhD in fiqh. There are many things in fiqh that you don't know. If you are lugawi, you have PhD in balaga. Inside that balaga, there are so many things that you don't know. At the level of the PhD, someone else who is even just a Thanawi student, he will point out your mistake now. Wallahi alladhi la ilaha illa huwa. He will show you your errors now. In Ilmul Balaga where you have PhD. So be humble. Be humble in it. Be humble inside it. So if inside where you have a PhD, you have a professorial degree, you earn it, how about other fields? How about in fiqh? How about in ilmul hadith? How about in ulumul Quran or in tafsir? How about that? I wanted to bring a book, but I left it. Last week I was in class with the book about infiradat to Abdullah ibn Abbas. The Masail that Ibn Abbas was alone with, they gave him a rod on it. It's a big book. Al-Imam Ibn Kathir, one of the scholars too, sat down with tafsir. He was pointing out some mistakes. This thing was an error. This thing was an error. In tafsir Ibn Kathir, I wanted to come with it. I changed my mind. I said, let me leave this book. There is not anyone except that he has had errors. Nobody. Except that you have errors. Al-Imam Ibn Abdul Barri al-Namri, he has Jami'u Bayan al-Ilmi wa Fadlihi ko. He said, rahimahullah, La yaslamu al-alimu min al-khata' La yaslamu al-alimu min al-khata'i. No scholar will be free from errors. Rahimahumullah, faman akhta'a qalilan wa asaba kathiran fahuwa alim. I deliberately brought it so that we clarify that. Man akhta'a qalilan wa asaba kathiran. But the person who akhta'a qalilan, his errors are few. We mentioned it in the last class. Abdullah ibn Abbas, that we brought a book on his infiradat, views that he was alone in, and the scholars refuted him on it. Those views were about 21 or 22. If out of hundreds of thousands of issues that Ibn Abbas spoke about in tafsir, in ilmul hadith, in fiqh, in lugha, and so on, that he spoke about, only 21 was rejected. Wallahi, he has done well, radiyallahu anhu. 21. He has done well. Ibn Abdul Bari said, rahimahullah, la yaslamu al-alimu min al-khata'. No learned person becomes free completely from errors. فَمَنْ أَخْطَأَ قَلِيلًا وَأَصَابَ كَثِيرًا. So anyone whose errors are few, but in most of the cases he was right, فَهُوَ عَالِمٌ. That is a learned person. وَمَنْ أَصَابَ قَلِيلًا. There are some people, they will hardly be correct. If he gives 100 issues, maybe he will be wrong in 95. Maybe he will be wrong in 90. There are some people you hardly hear them say anything that is correct. This is common with the people of Bid'ah. You will hardly hear them say anything that is correct. Whatever they say will be wrong. Ibn Abdul Bari said, فَهُوَ جَاهِلٌ مَنْ أَصَابَ قَلِيلًا. The one who would only be correct in few matters. وَأَخْطَأَ كَثِيرًا. In the bulk of it, he was wrong. فَهُوَ جَاهِلٌ. That kind of a person is a jahil. لِمَاذَا غَلَبَ عَلَيْهِ الْخَطَأ. What overran him and overcame him was what? Khata, mistake. So these mistakes are like that. Everybody makes it. So when the mistakes are few, it's an evidence that you are a learned person. But when the mistakes are much, it's an evidence that you have a long journey to still traverse as far as knowledge is concerned. There is no group of people, as we have amongst the scholars of fiqh, as we have amongst the scholars of hadith. Likewise, we have amongst the scholars of lugha. They made a lot of mistakes. Al-Imam Muhammad ibn Qutaybah, rahimahullah, Allahumma sayyiban nafi'a. Muhammad ibn Qutaybah, rahimahullah, was from amongst the scholars in the 3rd century of Islam. He has a book, Ta'awilu Mukhtalif al-Hadith. Ta'awilu Mukhtalif al-Hadith. Explaining those ahadith that people think they contradict themselves. He wants to explain that they don't contradict. You are the one who think like that. And that science itself is called Ilmu Mukhtalif al-Hadith. The science of reconciling within ahadith, yani ظاهرهما التعارض. مختلف الحديث علم يبحث عن حديثين صحيحين ظاهرهما التعارض. 2 hadiths, each of them is sahih. But what is apparent amongst the 2 of them is that you think that they are contradicting, but they are not. When we were younger than this, one of our brothers who was more vast in lugha than I was at that time, he said he calls it ilmu mukhtalaful hadith. I said no, it is mukhtaliful hadith. He looked at me. He said I did lugha. I said they call it mukhtaliful hadith. It is ilmu mukhtaliful hadith, not mukhtalaful hadith. If you say mukhtalaful hadith, you are saying that it is the people who differ in their understanding of that hadith. If you say mukhtaliful hadith, it is the hadith itself that appear to contradict themselves. This is what they mean in this science. Huwa ilm yabhathu an hadithain al-bahthu fi an hadithain sahihain. You are searching, researching about, studying about 2 hadiths. ظاهرهما التعارض. Each of them is sahih. But what is apparent, you are thinking that there is ta'arud. There is contradiction between the 2. This is the meaning of mukhtaliful hadith. So it is the hadith, this hadith, yakhtalifu minha. فَهُوَ مُخْتَلِفٌ. This one is also mukhtalif. For he is thinking that it is mukhtalaful hadith. Those are the kinds of mistakes people make. لِغُرُورٍ فِي اللُّغَةِ. They say, I don't know. Here it is not mukhtalaful hadith, it is mukhtaliful hadith. Ibn Qutaybah rahimahullah, he has ilmu ta'wili mukhtalif al-hadith. He wrote a book on it. From the first persons who wrote on mukhtalif al-hadith after Imam al-Shafi'i. He said rahimahullah, وَلَا أَعْلَمُ أَحَدًا مِنْ أَهْلِ الْعِلْمِ وَالْأَدَبِ إِلَّا وَقَدْ أُسْقِطَ فِي عِلْمِهِ rahimahullah. Says, La a'lamu ahadan min ahli al-ilmi wal-adab. I do not know anyone from the people of knowledge, wal-adab, and good manners, or literature, if you like. He said, rahimahullah, illa wa qad usqita fi ilmihi. There is no one amongst those scholars except that they have found zallats in his knowledge, errors, mistakes. Kal asmai, Al-Asma'i was from the scholars of Lugha. Wa Abi Zayd, these were from the scholars of Lugha. Wa Abi Ubaydah and Abu Ubayd. Wa Sibawayh. Ibn Taymiyyah said, Rahimahullah, Sibawayh has 600 mistakes in his book Al-Kitab, or thereabouts. Ibn Taymiyyah came to say Sibawayh had errors. Wal-Akhfash, Wal-Kisa'i, Wal-Farra, Wa-Bi Amri Al-Shaybani, Wa-Kal-A'immati min Qurra'il Qur'an. He mentioned all the scholars. He says, Wa-Kal-A'immati, and like the scholars min Qurra'il Qur'an, amongst those who were perfectionists, who were the authorities in the sciences of Qira'ah, reading the Quran. Wal-a'immati min al-mufassiri, even the scholars amongst the scholars of tafsir. All of these people. وَقَدْ أَخَذَ النَّاسُ عَلَى الشُّعَرَى. People even found the mistakes of shuara. Poets, fil jahiliyyah. Poets who were making poetry when there was no nahwu and sarf. When they were just speaking Arabic as it should be. They were born with Arabic as it was. There was no mixture with the strange people, with the Ajam. No mixture. Yet, if you look at their shape, they had mistakes in it. He said, وَقَدْ أَخَذَ النَّاسُ عَلَى الشُّعَرَاءِ فِي الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ وَالْإِسْلَامِ الْخَطَأُ فِي الْمَعَانِ وَفِي الْإِعْرَابِ. They had errors in ma'ani, the meaning of the expressions they used in their poems. وَالْإِعْرَابِ, they had problems of al-nasbu and al-jarr. Mistakes. وَهُمْ أَهْلُ اللُّغَةِ وَبِهِمْ يَقَعُ الْإِحْتِجَاجِ. These are the scholars of Lugha. It is with their statements that the scholars of the linguists make evidence. Yes, they too had errors. Serious errors. The reason I mention is that sometimes if a person is very vast in Al-Lugha, he thinks that as long as he's vast in Lugha, he does not make mistakes. Yeah, your Imām make mistakes in Lugha itself. Don't bring all these people into Masail Fiqhiyah, because the mistakes will be more. If in Lugha that they were rules, they had errors, what kind of errors will they make in the Masail of Fiqh, in Al-Masail Fiqhiyah? They make errors. So if you bring a faqih, if you read his work, you are likely to see errors in his Lugha, if you are a Lughawi. If you are a person of Lugha, someone who is vast in the sciences of hadith, he will write something to say, there are errors here. Lughatan. Likewise, you too, tabahurka fil lugha, write something about fiqh, bring it, let's see the hadith that you have used. We will tell you errors inside it. So that's how it is. But what you always find is that if Allah has eased a part of knowledge for a person, iftakhara bihi, you see him making iftikhar, proud with it. Why? He's Qari of Quran. Let him speak about Masail Hadithiyah, now you see him. You will know his miqdar. You will know this. He himself will understand. They said, you will say something, no, they will tell you it's not like that. This is how knowledge is. Be humble. Every person makes mistakes. But when the mistakes are corrected, take to the corrections. إِذَا كَانَ مُرَادُ الرَّادِ, you that you are making rad, if your intention with your rad is إِظْهَارَ عَيْبِ مَنْ رَدَّ عَلَيْهِ وَتَنَقُّصَهُ وَتَبْيِينَ جَهْلِهِ وَقُصُورِهِ فِي الْعِلْمِ وَنَحْوِهِ. The Imam said, Rahimahullah, ذَلِكَ كَانَ مُحَرَّمًا. If your intention is just to show his faults, don't bother. We will observe Salatul Maghrib and Isha together. So be calm. So if his intention, the person making rubbish, is that, I just want to show his faults. I want to show him that he does not know so thing and so thing, that it is haram. But if the intention is to make the Tabyān al-Haqq and all others as we had read earlier, then it is mahmud. It is encouraged. He said, rahimahullah, سواء كان رده لذلك في وجه ما رد عليه أو في غيبته. Whether that rod, you are making it in front of the person or behind him. وَسَوَاءٌ كَانَ فِي حَيَاتِهِ أَوْ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهِ. Or you are making rod to him when he was alive or after he was dead. وَهَذَا دَاخِلٌ فِي مَا ذَمَّهُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى فِي كِتَابِهِ. This thing that you are doing, that all your energy, you are making rod with it. But the intention is to just disgrace the person, to just disparage the person, to just show that the person is an ignorant person. If this is your intention, this one has come under those things that Allah has blamed. Allah has reproached it in His book. And Allah promised and warned that He will give punishments regarding it in Surah Al-Hamz wal Lams. That is which surah? Which surah? وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ الَّذِي جَمَعَ مَالَهُ وَعَدَّدَهُ. So Allah has warned them in that verse. Who are these people of Al-Hamz wal-Lams? A person of Hams, he goes on with riba. He goes to mention about his brother. See, look at the whole of this article. Here, he made mistake of now. Here, he makes mistake of. You have not addressed the man. Everybody will make that kind of a mistake. Anyone can make it. How about the point itself? Has he erred in it? That one, he has no knowledge of it. The only thing he has knowledge of is the Luga and Arab. So he's talking about it. How about the Masail al-Hadithiyah that he has discussed? You don't know that one. So he keeps quiet. Now, in what he is doing, all that he intends is At-Tanakkus, Tabyān al-Jahl, wal-Qusur. These are the things that he's looking for. That's all. If it is like this, then it falls under At-Tibyān. If the intention is just once a brother said to me that he has watched and watched and watched and watched the video on Salat. The video on Salat was a very old video. When it was made, it took 2 years before I made up my mind that it should be released. Because I hate that I am videoed. Because of those ahadiths about At-Tasweer. So after the video in itself, and what happened? A brother called me, very elderly brother. He said, Ustaz, I noticed that many people don't know how to observe Salah. What is the sunnah we are calling to when people don't know how to observe Salah? The most important thing after Aqidah in the sunnah is Salah. So why is the people don't know Salah? You are keeping quiet. Do a video, let it go around. I said, no, I've explained. So I said, no, explaining will not suffice. Demonstrate it. I started to think. I spoke to a number of Bismillah, very strong amongst our ikhwa. I spoke to one, he said, I spoke to this one. What do you think? People started giving me advices. I now said, I have a problem. I can't be demonstrating in a video. It will destroy my ikhlas. What I'll do is, let me give a lecture about Salat. You can now be videoing it. I'll forget that you want to video. Let me just be saying my own. Any person who wants to video should video. That's his problem. So we agreed on the venue. It was in VGC Masjid in Lekki that we had that lecture. Myself and the brother, we went for the lecture. I had prepared the lecture. I was delivering the lecture. If you notice, at the beginning I was sitting down. But when I wanted to show how Takbiratul Ihram should be and how we should be standing, I left the place and I stood up. Fortunately or unfortunately, I was not able to return to my seat again till the end of that video on Salah. So when we finished, I said, we still have something. They say, you have already ended the Salah. A brother said, I looked at this video, very learned person. Said, Abu Nāsir, I said, now. Said, you didn't even give a space for somebody to come in to give you a punch. So my mind told me, is that what you were looking for in that video? A place, a loophole to give me a rod. Is that what, in the whole of about 3 hours or so? So that's how we are. I said we, go. If the intention is just peace, it is haram. But if the intention is to give a correction, then it is halal. It is Naseehah. Meaning that one major difference between An-Naseehah and At-Tibyān is what? Al-Qasd. What is your intention? What do you want to do? It will divide between whether it is lawful or haram. The Imam said, وَهَذَا دَاخِلٌ فِي مَا ضَمَّهُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى فِي كِتَابِهِ وَتَعَوَّدَ عَلَيْهِ فِي الْهَمْزِ وَاللَّمْزِ وَدَاخِلٌ أَيْضًا فِي قَوْلِ النَّبِيِّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَآلِهِ وَسَلَّمَ. That person looking for errors, looking for faults, looking for defects of the person who has done so well, it is also under this statement of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam when he said, Ya ma'ashara man amana bilisani, all you people who believe just upon their tongues, walan yu'min biqalbihi, but iman has not truly entered into their hearts. La tuzul muslimin, do not cause harm, do not cause worry, do not cause inconvenience and discomfort to the Muslims. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا أَوْرَاتِهِمْ, do not follow up the faults of your brother. فَإِنَّهُ مَنْ يَتَّبِعُوا أَوْرَاتِهِمْ, because anyone who begins to look out for and check the errors of his brothers, يَتَّبِعُ اللَّهُ أَوْرَتَهُ, Allah will follow up his errors too. وَمَنْ يَتَّبِعُ اللَّهُ أَوْرَتَهُ يُفْضِحُهُ وَلَوْ فِي جَوْفِ بَيْتِهِ. And anyone that Allah begins to follow up your faults, يُفْضِحُهُ, Allah will disgrace him. وَلَوْ فِي جَوْفِ بَيْتِهِ, even if he be in the deepest part of his home, Allah will disgrace him. This hadith occurs in the Musnad of Al-Imam Abu Ya'la. It's an authentic hadith. We have mentioned this hadith a number of times. The Imam continued, rahimahullah, وَهَذَا كُلُّهُ فِي حَقِّ الْعُلَمَاءِ. All of what we have been saying about Naseehah, about Inkar, about Rudud, about cost and all of this, فِي حَقِّ الْعُلَمَاءِ الْمُقْتَدَى بِهِمْ فِي الدِّينِ. Those scholars, well-known, eminent scholars of this religion, al-muqtada bihim, those that we follow in terms of their knowledge. Al-Imam al-Albani in our times is the head of them. Shaykh Abdur-Aziz ibn Abdullah ibn Baz, Shaykh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymin, Shaykh Muqbil al-Wadi'i, Abu Abdur-Rahman, Shaykh Abdul Muhsin Abbad al-Badr, Hafidhahullah, Shaykh Wasiullah Abbas, Hafidhahullah, and many others amongst the elderly scholars of this ummah upon the Sunnah. Shaykh Salih Fawzan, Ibn Abdullah al-Fawzan, Shaykh Salih al-Usaymi. These are eminent people. And now we have Shaykh Abdur-Razzaq, Ibn Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad, Shaykh Mashhur Hassan al-Salman. These are elders among scholars. Hafizahumullah. It is when you are talking about people like this that we are talking about all of what we are talking about. فَأَمَّا أَهْلُ الْبِدَعِ وَالضَّلَالَةِ. But as for the people of innovations and misguidance, وَمَنْ تَشَبَّهَ بِالْعُلَمَاءِ وَلَيْسَ مِنْهُمْ. And those who is behaving like Albani, but it's not Albani. He's behaving like Bombaz, but it's not part of them. يَتَشَبَّهُ بِالْعُلَمَاءِ وَلَيْسَ مِنْهُ. He talks, he speaks, his courage, everything is behaving like Albani. He's behaving like Shaykh Abdulaziz ibn Abdullah ibn Baz, behaving like Ibn al-Husaymin. Their courage is his courage. He wants the people to keep quiet when he talks. And all of this, behaving like those people. Yatashabbahu bihim. All that. The man is just from the people of Bid'ah. Like those people saying that you can eat a dog. Those kinds of persons are juhal. What pushed them into that is al-jahl, al-balik. Serious ignorance pushed them into those kinds of statements. Or those people talking about that Abu Bakr al-Siddiq, when he was in the cave with the Prophet ﷺ, or when the Prophet was in the cave ﷺ, that Allah told us about Thanis name. إِذْهُمَا فِي الْغَارِ إِذْ قَالَ لِصَاحِبِهِ لَا تَحْزَنْ. They say, oh, it is one Nuhamin what? All of these are people of al-bid'ah wa dhalal. When the refutation is with respect to them, it's different approach. It says, وَهَذَا كُلُّهُ فِي حَقِّ الْعُلَمَاءِ الْمُقْتَدَى بِهِمْ فِي الدِّينِ. All of what we have been talking about is with respect to the scholars, those that we follow their statements in the religion. That's why we want to say something, say Imam Ahmad, go. We said Abdur-Raūf, go. We say Ishaq ibn Ibrāhīm ibn Rahway. We said Tawus ibn Kaysan. Each of these people are from the Imām of Islam. These are the people we are talking about. فَأَمَّا أَهْلُ الْبِدَعِ وَالضَّلَالَةِ. But from the people of innovations and misguidance, وَمَنْ تَشَبَّهَ بِالْعُلَمَاءِ وَلَيْسَ مِنْهُمْ. And those who behave like ulama, but they are not part of them. They wear white turban, white this, and they say they are mufti. Like one of our brothers will say, Hafidahullah, they are mufti. They didn't mufti anything. Tashabbahu bil ulama, aw yatashabbahuna bihim, wal mutashabbihu bima lam yu'ta, kalabisi thawbay zur. The one who behaves in the manner, he does not have any knowledge of what he's talking about. He's just talking. The problem that is concerned with it is that they say they think that, oh, we know Luga. And the Luga itself, they don't know it. Or he said he saw one hadith that says that women should not use washing machines. These people are ignorant people. Which hadith says women should not use washing machines? Hadith. He said, Rahimahullah, فَأَمَّا أَهْلُ الْبِدَعِ وَالضَّلَالَةِ وَمَنْ تَشَبَّهَ بِالْعُلَمَاءِ وَلَيْسَ مِنْهُمْ فَيَجُوزُ بَيَانُ جَهْلِهِمْ. In their case, it is lawful for us to explain that these people are ignorant. وَإِظْهَارُ عُيُوبِهِمْ. It is lawful for us to show that they have a lot of defects. They don't know what they are saying. They don't know the difference between siyaru, which is the plural of sirah, and sayru, which is the meaning of what? Movement. They don't know the difference between the two. Sara yasir. They don't know the difference between the two. Between siyaru alam. He said, Rahimahullah, فَيَجُوزُ بَيَانُ جَهْلِهِمْ. It is lawful to explain their ignorance. وَإِظْهَارُ عُيُوبِهِمْ. It is lawful to show to the people that these people are people of errors and defects. تَعْذِيرًا مِنَ الْإِقْتِدَاءِ بِهِمْ. By way of warning the people so that people does not so that the people do not follow them. Let the people know this one you are talking about is ignorance. Whether he has a national honor or not, he's an ignorant person. And things like this. Let the people know this person is a state person of ignorance. What he's talking about, he does not know about. He may know other things, so ikhwa. But this one that he's talking about is a statement of ignorance. You explain those kinds of things. May Allah protect us. تَحْذِيرًا مِنَ الْإِقْتِدَاءِ بِهِ, by way of warning the people against following them. وَلَيْسَ كَلَامُنَا الْآنِ فِي هَذَا الْقَبِيلِ. What we want to explain now is not regarding people like that. Wallahu alam. So let us leave their own aside. Those we are dealing with are those learned people of Sunnah. Scholars, really, who have actually learned the religion. It is regarding them we are talking about An-Naseehah and what? At-Tibyān. I hope that it is clear. We can stop here today, inshallah. I will entertain any 2 or 3 questions regarding what we have read. If you have any part of it that's not clear to you, ask it. I mean what? Al-Hams wal-Lams. Al-Hams is riba. Wal-Lams is namima. Just go back wandering here amongst the people, spreading evil amongst them. Even though the scholars have various meanings about these 2 words. Al-Hams wal-Lams. Al-Imām Ibn al-Jawzi in Zad al-Masir mentioned about 5 different opinions about the meaning of Humaza and what? Al-Humaza. But take it that Al-Humaza is talking about things related to Ghiba, and Al-Humaza is Al-Lams. Dhikru yubinas, mentioning their faults and following it up. Watanu fihim wa fi ansabi, mentioning their faults and mentioning their genealogy with faults. That will go more with what? Al-Lams. Wa amma al-Hams, it has to do with what? Al-Ghiba. Allahu Akbar. Now, anything about what we are reading not clear, ask. Jawab. Now, Faddal, alaykum salam. الذين يردون على من؟ ايه من؟ طيب before yeah. What are the things that you should know before you start making a run on the people of Bidah? It's an extensive discussion, but I will cut it short. I'm cutting it short. I will use one hadith. The Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, "Ballighu anni walau ay." Convey the message about me and from me, even if it be one ayah. So don't refute a person of bid'ah unless he's talking about that one ayah that you know very well. If he talks about another ayah you don't know very well, keep quiet. So what you need to know is the nook and the cranny of that matter that he is talking about. You need to know it. That is what you need to know to refute him. That thing that he's saying. You know that what he's saying is wrong. You have good knowledge of it. That is the time that you can make rod of Muqtadi in his bid'ah. Have I spoken about what he needs to know? Whatever the case is that Muqtadi spoke about showing his bid'ah and exposing it, you need to know that matter well. So if he spoke about 10 matters, you need to know about all the 10 well. or you only know 5 out of the 10, speak about the 5 that you know. Meaning that don't speak about anything except the one that you are well grounded about. Is this clear now? That is the second person code. One more, the last one. Now, that we call it today. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik. Ask. You still have the space. Alaykum salam. Mas'alatu umariyatain. ذكرناهما في الدرس السابق. ما سميتك مسألة ماذا؟ راوي. نفس المسألة، مسألة العمريتين. العمرية، مسألة العمرية تقصد. طيب أيوة ايوه مسألة العمريتين هما مسألتان وهما أيضا في علم المواريث. فهمت الآن؟ ذكرت واحدا منهما في الدرس السابق وطرفا من الثاني من المسألة الثانية أيضا في الدرس السابق. الثانية تتعلق بما ذكره ربنا في آخر سورة النساء. رجل الكلالة. طيب مسألة الكلالة، امرأة توفيت وترك الزوج حي، ماذا يجد الزوج من إرثها؟ نصف. طيب وبقي لها أيضا أمها وأبوها، ماذا يجد الوالد؟ الأب. ما الذي تجد الوالدة الأم؟ ماذا تجد؟ هنا المسألة. فهمت الآن؟ طيب هذا ومسألة المرأة. كيف قال في أمر الأختين ترك اثنتين، كيف بدأ؟ فإن كانت اثنتين فوق اثنتين كم لهما؟ ثلثا ما ترك. هذه المسألة والتي ذكرت قبل هذه هما المسألتان تحت القضية العمريتين. فهمت الآن؟ كل منهما تسمى بمسألة العمرية، فهما مسألة العمريتين. فهمت الأمر الآن؟ واضح لك؟ طيب نصلي إخوان.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Where are you from?
Port Harcourt.
Alaikum salam.